I really like the practices that we've seen. I know that it's the off season, and I know that they don't mean a whole heck of a lot, but just the tone that he sets, his willingness to stop action immediately and get up in somebody who has just made a mistake, I think is something that this franchise has been begging for. And, if you'll remember, what were we, 2 weeks into the season last year, and Bears players were, going to Matt Eberflus and begging him and his staff to coach them and coach them hard and yell at the people who are high on the totem pole and low on the totem pole when it comes to the roster. Ben Johnson doesn't have a problem doing that, and I think that is a really good first start.
So really quick, too, Patrick, as we move into the on-the-field stuff, I know you don't, dive deep into the stadium stuff, but I'm sure you do follow it. While they have focused on Arlington Heights, they didn't get in, though, with this mega funding that they wanted for even the suburban location. What do you think the future is of the Bears stadium process at this point?
Arlington Heights, and it's just going to take a little bit longer than they wanted it to. I was hearing you guys talk about the Browns, and, let me tell you, I am happy with the state of Ohio spending Ohioans' taxpayer money however they want. That's fine. If you are a Bears fan here, though, obviously you're pretty invested in how much of your money, if any, is going to end up at one of these two places. I think it's going to be Arlington Heights. The Bears have been saying up until recently, hey, we want to get shovels in the ground this year. To me, that seems less and less likely, obviously, because the funding didn't happen the way they thought it would.
I was going to say, we're all trying to project when the first season in the new stadium is taking place. It's got to be no earlier than 2030, right, guys? You're not going to get this done in 2029.
I did a roundtable with you guys, whatever it was, 3 years ago when this first came up. And you remember you had everybody on, and your last question was, what year does this thing get built? And you may have to go to the archives, but I think I said 2032, something like that. I was as cynical as possible about it, and shoot, it may be never for all we know. But
I think one of the most important questions to me: are you confident, Patrick, that they'll get it right when they do this?
Kevin Warren. You can say what you want about Kevin Warren, what he's done with the Bears and what he did at the Big Ten. But, the man knows how to build the stadium. The U.S. Bank Stadium in Minnesota is the best stadium I've ever been to in any sport ever.
Any sport? Wow.
Yes, and I used to cover colleges, been to a lot of baseball stadiums, been international. There's something just absolutely beautiful about that stadium. And if he could get the one here, even if it's 3/4 as good, I think it would be an absolute gem.
What an endorsement that is. Yeah, we're going this year. I'm taking the kids to the Bears-Vikings game. I can't wait for mid-November for that game. All right, so where is your level of skepticism, or has it waned based on what you've seen from the Bears this offseason? The moves, Ben Johnson, the way they practice. How are you feeling about the team right now?
What about Ben Johnson as a head coach? And, every time the Bears hire somebody, it's a head coach who's never done it before, usually at any level. So it's always interesting to see how they run a practice for the first time, how they speak to us for the first time, how they, how they act like the person in charge. Ben Johnson had never had to do that anywhere. He joked with us on his first practice that he'd never been able to blow a whistle and have a play actually stop before. I really like the practices that we've seen. I know that it's the off season, and I know that they don't mean a whole heck of a lot, but just the tone that he sets, his willingness to stop action immediately and get up in somebody who has just made a mistake, I think is something that this franchise has been begging for. And, if you'll remember, what were we, 2 weeks into the season last year, and Bears players were, going to Matt Eberflus and begging him and his staff to coach them and coach them hard and yell at the people who are high on the totem pole and low on the totem pole when it comes to the roster. Ben Johnson doesn't have a problem doing that, and I think that is a really good first start.
Patrick, from the young guys, or what you saw from the young, I was disappointed. I understand. I will be patient. I knew Loveland wasn't going to be able to participate, but But Burton was a guy I was interested in seeing. Is his absence this past preseason or offseason, whatever you want to call it, is it about injuries? Is it about contract? Is it a combo? Why have we not seen him at all?
The best we got out of Ben Johnson was that it was a soft tissue thing. We saw him land, dove for a pass and landed on his ribs and on the ball on the final play of the second day of rookie minicamp. He went out the next day and did a very light practice, and then we have not seen him since. I asked Ben the other day, I said, is this a problem? And he said, well, yeah, this is when you get chemistry with people. This is, when you're around your teammates on the practice field, this is kind of the first steps you take toward, learning what it's like to be an NFL player, and not being able to do that is troublesome. I don't know that it's a problem yet, but, I'll tell you, the scouting report on him coming out of Missouri was that he didn't always practice very hard, or at the very least, he practiced a lot harder when there were scouts in the audience than when there weren't. So I think it's fair to be skeptical, but it's nothing I'm panicked about quite yet.
Yeah, because Waddle mentioned the contract thing, and I know you deal in facts being a journalist, but when you look into this, I think there a couple of second-rounders signed, and they both got guaranteed deals.
Early second-round guys got full guarantees.
Yeah, which is a rarity. Yeah. And now, do you believe? I think there are 30 unsigned second-round picks, including Trapillo and including Burden. Do you think that that's playing a role, that maybe Burden got tweaked, like you said, and then his agent's like, look, until you're signed, let's not screw around with this thing?
No, I don't believe so. And you guys are right. The first pick of the second round got guaranteed money, and the second pick of the second round got guaranteed money. Not in that order, by the way, which is interesting. And no other second round picks have signed anywhere in football right now. And I think this is going to be one of those things that probably gets settled a couple of days before the rookies report to mini camp. So maybe as far down the line as the third week of July. But I don't think he's holding out because of a contract or anything like that.
Where Patrick Finley's joining us from the Sun-Times. Patrick, where do you think the level of confidence in the roster is? And by that I mean, do you think Ryan Poles, while they're now out of the building, the players, that he still wants to make a tweak, whether it's calling Cincinnati about Trey Hendrickson, whether it's signing a veteran running back, or are they just wait-and-see mode until they see them in pads for training camp?
Yeah, I think that's probably the second one is probably the way they're going to go. I don't see any massive changes happening to this roster. And, at running back, when you look around the league, as recently as 2 days ago, there were, two fairly well-known running backs that were still available in Nick Chubb and J.K. Dobbins. They are off the board now. And, my best guess is that the Bears are going to see what they've got at running back during training camp and during those preseason games. And then, there's always someone kind of available at cut day. And maybe you go that way, but I think this is really good news for DeAndre Swift. If you had asked me on March 1st whether I thought DeAndre Swift would end up getting 70% of the Bears carries this year, I would have bet a lot of money against it. And, the way it worked out, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Is I think he's going to be their bell cow guy. And part of it is because I think the Bears came within 1 or 2 or 3 picks of landing a running back in the second round. But the 2 Ohio State guys went in the 3 selections before they picked Luther Burden, of all people.
Patrick, what about left tackle? Do you believe internally that they have a preference as to who they want to start there? Or do you think it's just, hey, whoever is shows the best in training camp?
I think they have to take the best player. I mean, that's the stakes.
Do you think there's a leader in the clubhouse in their eyes?
Braxton Jones, and we need him to get healthy, and that is a giant question. And until he's out there, all we can do is speculate. And I'm not sure that he is going to be good to go on day 1 of training camp. But you know what? When he's been healthy, he's been decent. And, I get Charles Leno vibes from him.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You sit there and Bears fans complain about him and love to complain about him, and then he goes somewhere else, and guess what? The guy you replace him with know better. And, I think Ozzie Trapillo's looked better to my eye, again, without pads. That's not saying much. But I think he has looked better than Karan Amagashi has during the offseason program here. But, I think if Braxton Jones came back and was healthy and played well, I think the Bears would love to have that problem at the end of this year. Do we pay Braxton to stick around, or do we let him go and let Ozzie Trapillo take over in year 2? That's a luxury, and those are the kinds of luxuries that good teams have and bad teams typically do not.
Patrick, when we talk about the Bears, front and center is Caleb Williams. It's always the guy that the fans want to talk about, that really gets the clicks and people want to weigh in. What do you believe constitutes a successful second year for Caleb Williams?
I think he's got to play a lot. He played every snap for them last year, and I think we take for granted just how rare that is. He's still building up his database, and the more defenses he sees, the better off he is going to be in the long term. So number one, I would say health. And number two, success is, I think, winning. We can talk about numbers and about 4,000 yards, and we've heard Ben Johnson and even Caleb talk about it, about how they want to make history, and all that's great. But how about they make the playoffs or play meaningful football in late December, and let's see what he looks like then. How about, if they make the playoffs, maybe they win a playoff game? I mean, guys, I've been covering this team since 2013. I've never seen a playoff win. and that's something that needs to get fixed, and it's usually fixed when the quarterback takes a step. So, if I had to order these things, I think number one, he's got to stay healthy. Number two, he's got to find a way to win games. And then we can talk about completion percentage and quarterback rating and all that sort of, statistical stuff. That's a really interesting conversation starter, but it's not the reason they played the game.
Waddle's got an even better stat as far as playoff wins. Give him the trivia question about...
when was the last time the Bears won a road playoff game, Patrick?
Oh, my gosh. 86, wasn't it?
When was it?
06, did you say?
No, but what is it? Tell me. I said 86.
1994, we beat the Vikings in Minneapolis.
Waddle was on that team.
Yes, I was on that tells you the ineptitude and the period of time, the spanning of time of ineptitude, that the last time the franchise won a road playoff game, my old ass was on the roster.
Okay, and I'll tell you this, we were talking about COVID earlier with my DePaul class. I mean, one of the two playoff games the Bears have played since I got here was the COVID year, and it was in New Orleans, and I didn't go. Jason Leisure went because we sent one person. So the only Bears playoff game I've witnessed in person ended with Cody Parkey hitting both of them.
Oh goodness. It's so bad, yeah. Yeah.
Are you good, Patrick, with the conversations about body language? Are you glad that that's something that Ben Johnson addressed? And do you believe it was about more than just Caleb Williams? DJ Moore and others could have also been lumped into that conversation.
Or was lumped into that conversation. I don't think there's any question about it. Yeah, I think that Ben has this perspective that you couldn't have gotten from almost any other candidate you brought in except for maybe Brian Flores. He can look at these guys in the eye and say, hey, when we came to Soldier Field, or when you came to our place, we knew we were going to beat you. And this is why we knew. Is we looked over and we saw your shoulders slump. We saw DJ not talking to somebody at the end of every possession. We saw Caleb Williams just looking not confident. And Ben can tell them, this gave us an advantage. It gave us confidence, and it enabled us to help beat you, and we cannot keep doing that. I think that it is a great thing to talk about, and it's a spectacular thing to talk about in May. And in April and in June, when you are months away from being able to do anything with pads on, that's when you talk about high-minded stuff like body language and mentality and all of those things that winning teams have and losing teams don't.